Hi guys, my name is Crystal and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome old subscribers, welcome new. If you like my videos, please press the like button and please do subscribe. Alexa, what's the time please?
It's 8:22 a.m.
Alexa, what's the date today?
It's Tuesday the 8th of November.
Alexa, what's the weather like in Rochester?
In Rochester, England, it's 12 degrees Celsius with cloudy skies. Today, you can expect thunderstorms, with a high of 14 degrees and a low of 10 degrees.
Alexa, can you tell me a joke?
What's the Easter Bunny's favourite kind of music? Hippity hop.
Right guys, yesterday I went to my mum's in Chatham, my mother Jennifer, and my mum ordered a taxi and it was waiting outside the flats opposite, right opposite over there. So I grabbed my bags, went down the stairs and I could hear my mum's voice on loudspeaker in the taxi. So my mum was speaking to the taxi driver in the taxi. A lot of people can't find this place. It's still relatively new. They're building flats right down the bottom and there are still some people that can't find where the flat is. So I went outside and I could hear my mother Jennifer's voice booming inside the taxi really loud, and the driver was talking to my mother Jennifer, and me, Janestra, Crystal, went out of my flats and over the road and got into the taxi, and he took me up to my mother's. He was a disabled driver. He was large with black hair and it looked like he had a bad back or shoulder because he was driving the taxi like this. So the driver was in the car seat driving the taxi like this, like he had a disability. Very nice driver, very polite. He took me up to my mum's. My mum came out of her flat and paid for the taxi. She paid for it. She told me to wait, and then we both went into the flat together. I took my dog Max. He was in the pet carrier, which I'll bring out and show you. So Max was in this pet carrier in the taxi. So when this is fully done up, it's got breathing holes in it and everything. So when it's done up, Max cannot get out of it. He can't get out of it. So he was in that on my lap. I say that because I'm getting a lot of trouble with taxi drivers not taking dogs. Now I can understand it because there are pet allergies. But Max, here he is. He's a very small chihuahua. He's very, very tiny. So I needed a pet-friendly taxi. I thought I was going to have trouble with taxis on a Sunday because there weren't many drivers available on a Sunday, but I in fact had trouble with taxis yesterday. Not getting up, coming back, and it was such a performance. It's made me very, very upset and I feel unwell this morning. So I sat with my mum, right? And her hair was flat. My mum Jennifer's hair was like flat on her head, like it'd been pressed down with an iron. My mum's normally got hair that's up and curled round. It was all flat. She had a white cardigan on, jeans turned up at the bottom, but she didn't have anything hanging out of her pockets, and she looked like she had clown socks on and trainers with rainbow shoelaces. So my mum looked like she was dressed like a clown. I don't know why she was dressed like that. The mum I knew several years ago had a lovely dress sense. She wore two-piece suits, and she didn't dress like that or act like she does now. I don't know what happened to my mum whilst I was away in Gloucestershire, but she never ever, the mum I knew as a little girl was never like the mum I've got now. I love my mum, everybody should love their mum, but I'm just saying that she needs help and she's not getting it, right? It's me that's being tested for cancer of the mouth. Me, not my mum, it's me. I'm not Jennifer, and I never have ever said I was my mum, because she's convinced that I'm copying her. My mum is convinced it's me copying my mother. I don't look anything like my mother in the way she dresses and the way she acts. I am my own person. I started doing videos on YouTube in 2009. My mum is nearly 80. I'm 54. So in 2009 I was 41. 41. So I started late myself doing videos when I was 40 years old. When my dad took me up to Hempstead Valley into the Argus and bought me a tower computer, and the first videos I did were helium balloons, helium ones, where they were selling helium balloons in Hempstead Valley shopping centre, because that's where my dad used to take me. And the big Sainsbury's in Hempstead Valley shopping centre. And I've got it in my diaries. I keep asking my mum, Jennifer, to come out with me and Dad, and she wouldn't come. She wanted to look after my cats, because those cats at Victoria Road were my cats she was looking after when I went to All Hallows with my dad, Derek. Okay? Yesterday was awful. Absolutely awful. I went up to my mum's early, just after 11, thinking I could get home for about 5 before it got dark. And I didn't want Max to get frightened by fireworks, because fireworks are still going off round here. And I remember coming home one bonfire night and fireworks were thrown near the taxi wheels. So I wanted to get home before all that shit was happening, and I couldn't get a taxi. I couldn't get a taxi at all. And the excuses, there's no drivers, we don't take dogs. My mum turned round to me and said, one of the control operators said, we don't take dogs. I mean, he's tiny. I appreciate people who've got allergies. But I mean, I live in these flats, yes, with children and other people. This was my argument. I said, Mum, I live in a block of 15 flats. And there are big dogs, little dogs, medium-sized dogs, and there's people that have got allergies to dogs. And the housing let out flats to people with dogs. There's dogs all over the place. I mean, people have got dog hairs on them from handling dogs. So I realise that people have allergies, but you could fight this argument to death, couldn't you? That why do the housing let people own dogs in flats? Because kids have got allergies. There's kids in these flats, I expect, with asthma. So my mum spent nearly 2 hours on the phone trying to get me home yesterday, because the female control operators were telling my mother, Jennifer, there was no taxis and they don't take dogs. And my phone my phone had died, and that driver that called himself Scooby-Doo, that told me to ring him, he gave me his mobile phone number, and he told me to ring him. I couldn't ring him because my phone died. And that guy is called Scooby-Doo because he likes dogs. His call sign is Scooby-Doo because he likes pets and he likes animals. And my phone had gone dead and I couldn't get hold of his number. But he said if you ever had any trouble with Star Taxis, to ring him and he would try and help. But my phone had gone dead and I didn't have the charger. So I was stuck for 2 hours with a very agitated, upset mother who was starting to shout and get cross, and it wasn't my fault. And the only other option I've got is to leave Max behind and just go up there. I mean, I can't leave Max behind for too long. So I'll just have to go up to my mum's for a small amount of time. But my mother was very agitated yesterday, and what put the icing on the cake was Sue, my mum's next door neighbour, and I've got pain in my face and I've got to go to the hospital to have it investigated. Sue rang my mum's landline phone with her mobile to ask my mother if she was okay, my mum, and my mum said, I can't get Ginestra home, there's no taxis. So Sue said, I'll see you tomorrow, Jennifer. And my mum said, I'll see you tomorrow, Sue. And the phone went down. And Sue had actually said, has Ginestra gone yet? Has Ginestra gone yet? And I was sat there listening to my mum's conversation. I hadn't gone yet. And all these loud noises going off were hurting my face. And I've got to go to the hospital about this continual pain I've having since 2015. And these ulcers that I've had since I've had teeth extracted. So I wasn't happy myself yesterday. I'm going to do another video in a moment.